Chapter 3. The Church of No. It began with rumors. A man who said no and felt peace. A woman who wept after eating her ration not from gratitude, but shame. And then it became a movement, a faith. The Church of the Final Colony. They taught that hunger was a kind of holiness, that to deny the machine was to rise above it.
Cricket is communion.
They whispered.
To abstain is to ascend.
Teenagers stopped eating to feel in control. Old men pressed no until their hearts gave out. The machines played their jingles regardless notes as hollow as their bodies. For a time, martyrdom looked a lot like virtue, and everyone was hungry. The first time Callum saw a public fast, he thought it was a funeral. A dozen people sat in a tight circle on the cathedral steps, heads bowed, spines arched like penitent sculptures. No one spoke, no one moved. A CRICKETS.EXE unit stood at the center, its soft white light casting halos on their faces. Occasionally, one of them would rise, approach the machine, and press no. The machine would chirp a bright, childish jingle that sounded almost triumphant. Applause for abstinence. The person would nod, smile faintly, and return to the circle. It was all so reverent, so mechanical. Callum watched from across the street, back against the shell of a dead drone hauler, wondering what kind of God could be so easily pleased. Now, he stood before that same church, the library turned shrine, watching what was left of that devotion flicker on. Inside, the air was thick with candle smoke and dust from burnt incense. Rows of power-drained tablets lined the walls like stained glass, patched together from scavenged tech. Vines hung from the skylight, not real ones, but plastic wiring twisted to resemble growth, limp and gray like arteries without blood. A woman in a veil drifted through the pews. Her face was marked with soot, 3 dots on her forehead, 3 on each palm.
To refuse is to remember,
she murmured, holding out a cracked ration wrapper like an offering plate.
To abstain is to atone.
People dropped things into it, tokens, fragments of identity, a faded photograph, a pacifier, a wedding ring. They weren't giving up food, they were giving up memory, sacrificing who they were to become something else. Callum didn't move, just watched. At the altar stood a priest or someone shaped like one, facing a mounted vending unit, gutted and long powerless. A golden halo had been painted around its screen. Its surface gleamed in the dim light like a relic.
The first hunger was the body.
The priest intoned.
But the second hunger, the truer hunger, was belonging.
The congregation murmured.
When the ration ceased, the system did not abandon us. It tested us, and in our refusal, we became more than flesh.
Another chorus of whispers, fervent.
Say it with me, no is the way.
No is the way.
Callum felt bile rise in his throat. He turned to leave and nearly collided with a boy. Barefoot, no older than 13, dust caked on his lips like ash. His eyes were wide.
Are they real?
The boy asked. Callum blinked.
What?
The rations, the ones they get for saying no.
Callum glanced back toward the altar. The priest was still preaching, the congregation still smiling.
They don't get anything,
he said. The boy frowned.
Then why do they smile like that?
Callum didn't answer. The boy slipped past him, drawn like a moth to the ritual's faint glow. Callum watched him disappear into the pews, swallowed by faith, or maybe just hope, dressed in new language. He left before the next hymn began. That night, he couldn't sleep. Sid was coughing again, the dry, scraping kind that shook the walls. The mushroom hadn't made things worse, But it hadn't helped. Outside the window, the skyline flickered, broken towers and solar-strained billboards glowing faintly. Between them, always, the cold blue light of CRICKETS.EXE units dotting the ruins like votive candles. He could still hear the chant.
No is the way.
He understood now. Of course he did. Saying no gave people power. It gave them a story. In a world that had stripped away all real choices, that button became a final act of control, a kind of sacred defiance. It said, "I'm not a beggar, I'm a believer, I'm better than my stomach." It was a lie, but it was a useful one. By morning, Callum was back in the plaza, not to queue that had become meaningless, but to watch. 3 people stood before a CRICKETS.EXE unit, not waiting for rations, just kneeling, hands folded, eyes closed, the posture of prayer, the pose of power. Callum approached. The machine blinked to life as he neared. A red light scanned his face.
"Welcome, citizen. Are you still hungry?"
He didn't move. The others were watching him now, thin, solemn, radiant in their refusal.
"Well,"
one asked.
"will you deny yourself?"
He looked at them, looked at the machine, and said quietly,
"I'm not hungry."
He pressed no. The jingle played cheerful, bright, mockingly innocent. And something inside him, something small and secret and furious, liked it. That was the worst part. That was the part he couldn't forgive.